Major news this afternoon as a second stimulus check deal is very close. Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Evening's LALATE. Hope you are good and safe. Wow, this is breaking news. I had told you it was coming last Friday, and here we go. A second stimulus deal is likely in the works overnight. Republican and Democratic leaders met today, and the revelation and what came in the meeting, what came out of the meeting, all suggests that a second stimulus check deal will be formulated this week. Moreover, how fast will it come to fruition? It looks like, and I'm going to report to you right now, that a second stimulus check deal could come as early as tomorrow, if not the day after. Wow. We're finally getting through this great, exciting bombshell news. This is Evening's LALATE, our 1 hour programming block every day that starts with the check and then goes to EIDL. But this one's the one that's going to be, a little bit of a big smorgasbord. The four negotiators met this afternoon: Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer for the Democrats, and Steve Mnuchin and Mark Meadows for the Republicans. Of course, Mitch was not invited. Someone asked me, where's Mitch been? He's not been invited to the meetings. He has not been part of the negotiations. And we learn how these negotiations have formulated. Basically, I'll get to that in a second. I'll get to the real back end of the story. But the front end of the story is there's going to be a deal. There's going to be a deal this week. It's very close. It could be announced tomorrow. They have reached agreement on a lot of provisions. I've been reporting this for days. There have been some haters. Where do you see your news from? I don't see that. Well, there's a purpose for this channel. If you saw it everywhere, you wouldn't need this channel. And if you haven't liked and subscribed, please like and subscribe. We've been reporting since Friday that a lot of items of the second stimulus package had already been agreed upon. The $1,200 check, rent eviction moratorium, and that a lot of other things were sort of, meandering. $600 a week. Then we had Nancy Pelosi's revelation that she was going to back off of the $600 in future months if unemployment rates improve. So where are we today? Well, let me get first to the check, because that's what this video is normally about. You're going to get the check. The check has been, as one person in the comments on Morning's LALATE today said, my check has been held ransom by that stimulus package. I love that. It's absolutely correct. The stimulus check, the second stimulus check, was part of the stimulus package. And so a lot of viewers who really need that check right now, we're waiting with anxious breath because the rest of the package that includes crapola, like a federal building of $3 billion that had nothing to do with COVID-19, were being debated upon. You're like, give me my check. Can you deal with the building another time? And that's literally what was happening. So let me go through where we are right now. This is Tuesday afternoon, and I want you to understand that for a bill to become a law, it has to pass both the House and the Senate. It has to be signed by the president. I have been telling you since Friday, and now it appears it's going to happen, that the final bill that's actually going to be law is the HEROES Act, the bill that passed the House and is now in the Senate. The Republican proposal that was introduced last week hasn't been even voted on in either body of House and will never pass. I told you that last week. I told you the House is never going to approve the HEALS Act because the HEALS Act is a bad bill that leaves out a lot of stuff, and then the House, which is run by Democrats, is not going to approve it. So we were working off the HEROES Act. Well, that's very important to understand as I go through each of the parts that you need to be alert about. First, the check. A second stimulus check is going to get approved. It's part of the stimulus package. And they say, how do you know that? It hasn't been signed. Yeah, I know that. Haters to the left, I'll throw you in the spam folder. There's going to be a second stimulus check, and we don't know that yet. Then Captain Obvious hasn't walked through my set enough yet. There's going to be a second stimulus check. It's likely to be $1,200. It's likely to be $1,200 for everyone involved, whether you are an adult dependent, minor dependent, non-dependent. The only people that wouldn't get a second stimulus check are the people who appear on someone else's tax return are one of more than 3 dependents, or you made an enormous sum of money last year, you don't qualify. If you're on SSDI, SSI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, you're getting a second stimulus check. This channel really sort of popped and started, getting more views about a month ago, when I first reported to you those people on SSDI, SSI, Social Security, railroad benefits, and veterans benefits that no one else was recording videos for. I told you you're going to get a second stimulus check. I was here for you. I prepared you for what you need to know, whether it's a non-filer or a filer. I prepared you for the whole dynamic of how this is different than the first stimulus package, when everyone forgot about you. They forgot about adult dependents, because a lot of you are adult dependents who appear on someone else's tax return, and under the first stimulus check, they didn't make you eligible. It was a travesty, and I said, hey, it's not happening the second time around. The Democrats are going to give you a stimulus check, and sure enough, last week, when the Republican bill was introduced, they said they're also going to give you a stimulus check. They just want to give it to you $500. I said, that's not going to fly. I don't think that's ever going to happen. You're going to get a full check. I mean, it's why is someone in their 40s getting a watered-down couple $100 check? It's just ridiculous. Now, so that's the check. I detailed today, I detailed yesterday, that if you are set up for electronic payments, I'm not going to do that in this video because I've done a lot of detail of that. If you're set up for electronic payments, you'll get your check, you'll get your funds 7 days after the bill becomes a law. I'll explain what it takes for the bill to become a law. That's according to Steve Mnuchin's representation, not my representation, but his representation. And if you're by paper check, late July. You're like, late July, that's already past late August. So that's the check. Hazard pay. Boy, I know you're all sitting with bated breath like I am about hazard pay. And I got all these quotes. I'm going to go through them. Yeah, there's no quote about hazard pay again. We got to hope, and it looks like, that hazard pay survived. No one has ever said no to hazard pay. Maybe the amount of money is reduced. Maybe it's done a different way. I just really hope. Now, I have no information as to whether hazard pay has been taken out. I have no information as to whether hazard pay has been edited. All I know is that hazard pay is in the Democratic plan, and there's no suggestion by any Democrat that they would ever allow it to be removed. That's where we are. $10,000, $5,000 is a lot of money. There's a lot of viewers. I know you want the money. Hazard pay does not replace the stimulus check. It is an addition to the stimulus check. One does not conflict with the other one. Next to FPUC. FPUC is going to come in at $600 a week. I told you this last week. You're like, you don't know that. How you just don't know that? You're in LA. You're not in Washington. Yeah, I told you it's going to be $600 a week. You know why I told you that? Because the president told you that. The president of the United States, who has to sign the bill, said, I'll agree to $600 a week, but I'll just do it for 1 week. Well, I mean, that's what we were then. Then he told his 2 individuals who are in the negotiation room, Mark Meadows, chief of staff, and Steve Mnuchin, head of Treasury, just give them $600 a week. That's what the Democrats want to do. Just give them $600 a week. Just do it a week. Now, ultimately, if you're sitting here, you're like, why are they arguing about how much money to give it to people? Just give them the money, for God's sakes. It's not their money. And we have all these financial reports that said there's nothing bad about giving them money. Just give them the money. Well, here are the quotes. Nancy Pelosi, Democrat of California, and Senator Chuck Schumer, Democrat of New York, met with Steve Mnuchin, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, for about 90 minutes before this video, about 90 minutes. And this is their daily meeting. They do about one per day, one negotiations per day. Speaking to reporters afterwards, Chuck Schumer, who I will fully disclose is always the sort of pessimist among the group, said, we're making progress. We really went down issue by issue, slogging through them. They made some concessions, which we appreciated. We made some concessions, which they appreciated. We're still far a lot away on some important issues, but we're going to continue to go at it. Now, what could they have given concessions on? I mean, they could have given concessions on hazard pay. They could have given concessions on state and local governments funding, but they didn't give concessions on $6 a week. Let me explain to you where we are on that. That is what I reported earlier today, which was really a bombshell. Nancy Pelosi gave this quote earlier today. I think the number $600 is related more to the unemployment rate. If the unemployment number goes down, that number can go down. I think that's where the concession was, which is what I've been reporting for, a week. That no one in the Democrats was ever going to get off of $600 a week. No one in the United States wanted less than $600 a week. Everyone wanted $600 a week. But Nancy said, hey, I understand this is for a pandemic, so when will it not be $600 a week? Nancy said, hey, I will get off of $600. I'll have no $600 or less $600 when the unemployment number drops. Well, this is Tuesday, and this Thursday, the new jobless claim comes out, and it's going to be over 1 million new jobless claims, and it's going to be the 20th consecutive week. So it's clearly going to stay at $600 this week, and it could be stay at $600, all the way to 2021. But the point is that Nancy gave a concession, and her concession is if unemployment drops, then we're off $600, which is only logical. That's sort of what Steve Mnuchin wanted. But then came Mitch McConnell, and boy, I saw your comments. You were just like sending me DMs, sending me tweets, sending me messages in the comments of the channel. You're like, read the quote from Mitch, read the quote from Mitch. No one sent me a helicopter. I was waiting for the helicopter to drop me the message like, hey, LA, here's the message. But Mitch McConnell basically said, okay, I'll roll over and give $600 a week. I wanted to say, you ass. Yeah, did I say ass? I really wanted to say you ass. I mean, this is a guy who has wasted everyone's damn time since May. He initially said zero. He said nothing. Don't even give me the bill. Don't even bring the bill to my Senate. He said no employment. You want to stay home and get rich. Then he said $100. Then he said $200. It's like he's auctioning with people's lives. That's really a good metaphor. I just sort of came up with that. He's auctioning with people's lives. He's like, I'll give you a person homeless in exchange for $55. It's horrible. People's livelihoods are at risk. This is a guy who lives in a mansion, and he's sort of like dangling a little bit of a half of a carrot. I'll give it $24, $33. It's like a bad insurance company you're having a feud with. It's really awful. So he then today said, you know what, I'll give you $600. You know what, Mitch? You could have friggin' done that 5 months ago. Because the economic data is no different now than it was then. And even if you think it is, well, then look at the data for the last 2 months. McConnell said, if you're looking at the total consensus among Republican senators, you're not going to find it. So we've had divisions about what to do. Does that sound familiar? I think the guy in the purple shirt whose button keeps on flying open. Yeah, I got a lot of comments about that. I've been reporting that for 2 days or 3 days. No, since Friday, when Romney and Rubio, the R's and the R's, introduced their opposition bill to the M and the M's. Then you had all these other Republicans say, I have my bill, I have my bill, I have my bill, because no one could agree with their bill. But McConnell said he would support a bill that includes $600 a week if the Democrats negotiating for Treasury agreed with it and the Trump administration agreed with it. I saw that quote. I'm like, really? The Trump administration on Friday said he wanted $600 a week. He just said he wanted it for 1 week. Mitch, now, I will fully admit, guess where Mitch was last Friday? You know where he was. He got on a plane, go back to Kentucky for vacation again last week, and he was back in Kentucky last weekend. Now, he was campaigning for his Senate seat, which apparently he's way ahead. I don't know who are these people who vote for this guy. I just don't. He's way ahead. That was the only thing I'd been wrong about the whole last month was Mitch. I thought Mitch was going to lose. Well, apparently he's really ahead in his race. But he said, whenever this thing settles between the President of the United States and his team, and they have to sign a law, and the Democrats, a not so significant minority in the Senate and the majority of the House, it's something I'm prepared to support, even if I have some problems with certain parts of it. Really? We know this is going to be a negotiated settlement. It's not going to produce a kumbaya moment like we had back in March and April where everybody voted A. But the American people in the end need help. You could have said this 3 months ago, doofus. Whenever this thing settles back into battle between the president, we're going to have problems with certain parts. We're going to get it done. Lord. Eviction moratorium is going to be passed. It's going to be in there. You're going to have protections. You're not going to be allowed to evict tenants. You're going to save your home. You're going to save your apartment. You're not going to be thrown on the street. You're not going to be homeless. I want to jump in because I'm already 14 minutes into this video. I want to jump in with what's going to happen in the next 2 days and 3 days, and I want you to understand this. So I'm going to slow it down because this is very, very, very important. If the minute these 4 people walk out of a room says, we have an agreement, that's not a bill. That's not a law. So I could certainly sit down and say, hey, there's an agreement. We're done. There's a deal. That's not the law. And this is so important for people who are facing eviction tomorrow morning. It's not the law yet. So what happens is that 4 people emerge from this room like the second coming of something. And they'll say, we have an agreement. And then what happens is they're going to go to the Senate, talk about the bill, the hero, it will be the HEROES Act, and they'll put it up for a vote, and it will hopefully pass. And then what will happen is it'll go to the president's table for signing. That could take a day additional to the voting. I don't know how fast they could do this, but they could do it in 1 day. They likely would take 2 days. The president, could do it over the weekend and sign the bill. He signs things all over the weekend if he's not, playing golf. But the bill would then become law the moment the president signs it. The moment the bill becomes law, I'm not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere because there's going to be a real ramp up to know where's your money, when is it coming, how do I apply for the hazard pay, who applies for the hazard pay, how do I get the eviction moratorium, how do I get the rent grant help, how do I get the rent money, how do I get my stimulus check, wait, LA, when am I getting a stimulus check, do I get my paper check? There's going to be a very big ramp up on information. And so what I want you to know is that when we get hopefully through this hot mess express, then we have to be sort of like students. We then have to go through and make sure we do everything we need to do to get our money. And that's why it's so important for you to stay with me. So if you have not liked and subscribed, and people have asked me, how do I subscribe? I'm not getting alerts. Let me explain to you. Go to the front of this channel, which is youtube.com/LALATE. You go to the front of the channel, and underneath the channel, it shows a word subscribe and then a little bell. You hit the subscribe button, that subscribes you to the channel, but also hit the alert button, because whenever we're about to post a video, I send an alert. It's coming out in 30 minutes, coming out in 5 minutes. You'll get the alert so that if you forget, I forgot he's doing FPUC and I have to know what about my benefits, you'll get that alert. It's so important going forward, especially because a lot of these programs may require you to do something, your employer to do something, and so I want you to be with me as a family together as we get through this and get your money. And to tell you the truth, I think there could be another stimulus package right after this one. So we are here as a group. We're going to get through it. This is really great news. I said, I think on Monday, our goal is to get to 150,000 subscribers by next Monday, a week. We're already at like 137, 138, 137, 138,000 tonight. So, wow, thank you. Please subscribe. And coming up, EIDL loans, which I want you to watch if you are a W-2, you have a side business, or you're a small business owner. Please watch that. Stay informed, stay motivated, stay smiling. I always told you to stay smiling. The button is buttoned. Oh, wait, there was one down here was unbuttoned. Okay, I can't get everything right. And stay at LA for more.